The Art of War by Sun Tzu. The Art of War is one of the most famous historical books in the field of war and strategy. And although General Sun Tzu wrote this book in the 5th century with the purpose of immortalizing his own military philosophy about the management of armies and fighting battles. However, this book has gained a wide reputation in the field of business administration and self-development, after it was first translated into the French language and then into the English language in the early 20th century. When a country decides to go to war, its ultimate goal is to preserve its existence and protect its property. The commander who makes accurate plan before a battle always defeats a leader who believes that he's never wrong. Therefore, you should always plan and think before fighting a battle. Sun Tzu presents 7 points to compare armies and predict the victors and vanquished before the beginning of the battle. 1. Which of the kings of the two opposing armies has the complete loyalty and obedience of his people? 2. Which army commander is more efficient than the other? 3. Which side possesses the features of the land and conditions such as weather, travel distances, and the nature of the terrain? 4. Which side imposes greater discipline on its men? 5. Which side has the strongest army? 6. Which side has better trained officers and men? 7. Which side has the best regularity in giving rewards and imposing sanctions? Compare your enemy's army with yours with all attention and accuracy, so that you determine the strengths and weaknesses of both sides and then set your plan according to the circumstances. If you know your enemy and yourself, you will always be victorious. Bit to remember, the proper planning and knowing the enemy is a major reason for achieving victory. During the war, the king assigns one of his generals the responsibility of leading the army. Therefore, the commander of the army is directly under the command of the king. Most of the time, the causes of victory or defeat are due to the decisions made by the king and the commander of the army. Sometimes, the king's direct orders can be a cause of losing the war. The most disastrous way to manage armies is when the king intervenes in the responsibilities of the army commander and instructs him. For example, to push the soldiers to advance or retreat when this action is impossible. These errors may shake the confidence of the soldiers in their commander and therefore causes the defeat. Conversely, an army commander can make fatal mistakes that cause the loss of the war. A commander can be reckless and cause the destruction of his army. Or he could be a coward and end up being a prisoner in the enemy's army. It's also possible for the leader to be arrogant to the point of being easily provoked by the enemy's statements or messages. An army commander should avoid putting his soldiers in one of the following scenarios: to push his army against an enemy that's 10 times its size, causing his soldiers to escape. To have soldiers who are much stronger than the officers who command them, therefore causing disobedience. To have soldiers who are extremely weak, physically and mentally, which exposes them to collapse as a result of training or because of the officers' orders. When the officers are angry and undisciplined, which leads them to attack on their own and cause the destruction of the army. When the army commander is weak and hesitant in taking a decision, which weakens the army and makes it lose its regularity. When the army commander is incapable of assessing the enemy's strength, which could result in the use of unequal brigades and causes decisive defeats. Bit to remember, leadership may be the most important cause of success as well as failure. Successful strategists only fight battles that they know they will win before they go into them, while unsuccessful strategists enter battles without planning and then they begin to think about how to win. A skillful warrior always avoids fighting battles that he might lose, ensuring that he's never defeated. A successful leader knows that there are 5 basic rules to achieve victory. 1. Knowing the right time to fight and the right time to stop fighting. 2. How to deal with the forces that exceed the strength of his army, as well as the forces that are weaker than his army. 3. The strong fighting spirit of the army and discipline in all ranks. 4. Fight when your forces are fully prepared and your enemy's forces are not well prepared. 5. Military capacity and freedom to lead the forces without interference from anyone other than the army commander. You must avoid the enemy's army when its spirits are high. And also, if you see that its columns and banners are in perfect order, or when it's in a better location such as higher ground. Never let anger a cause to fight any battle. You must always have a higher purpose to win the battle. Anger is a temporary symptom and you'll find it disappearing in the end. But on the other hand, the results of the battle may have more lasting effects on your forces and your kingdom. The art of war is based on deception. You must hide your strength with some weakness, and your courage with some shame, and your discipline with some chaos. All of this confuses your enemy and drives him to neglect your strength. Ask your forces to pretend to be chaotic, while in reality they are very disciplined. When your forces approach the enemy, make them appear as if they are far away, and when you are able to attack, make it seem like you're unable. Play the cat and mouse game with your enemy. If your enemy has mood swings, work on agitating him. If he's on a break, work on harassing him. If you saw him in a stable and calm position, force him to move. As the intelligent warrior always takes the initiative and imposes his will on the enemy. Attack the enemy in his defensive weak points so that he will rush to defend them. Force him to reveal himself so that you can search for his weaknesses. Always keep your enemy guessing where will you attack him, which forces him to disperse and deploy his forces. As numerical weakness doesn't only come from numbers, but also from willingness to respond to multiple attacks. Bit to remember, tactics and proper planning are one of the elements of winning a war. The management of armies doesn't differ according to the number of its soldiers, as leading a large army is not completely different from leading a small army. All you have to do is divide your men into smaller groups, and then use signals such as drums, banners, or firing signals to direct your forces. As a result, your army will move as a single block. The coward won't dare to retreat. Also, the responsibility of fighting won't be left to the brave only. A skillful commander leads his army as if he's leading one man by his hand. Treat your soldiers like your beloved children, and they will stand by you until death. On the other hand, if you fail to lead them firmly, they will be useless as spoiled kids. Strong discipline among your soldiers is the proved path to victory. But for discipline to be effective, you have to form a close relationship with your soldiers. Hence, you must treat them humanely while keeping them under your control by imposing discipline and sanctions. As an army commander, you have to be mysterious. Your soldiers should never know your next move. So you must change your plans constantly in order to leave both your soldiers and your enemy in a state of constant speculation. Tell your soldiers when the situations are good and positive, but keep the news to yourself when the situations are negative or not promising. Put your soldiers in inescapable and miserable situations, and they will lose all sense of fear and fight with all their might until death. Bit to remember, to win your war, manage your forces firmly and leave them in a state of mystery and suspense. Thanks for watching. Please follow our social media accounts. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel.